The arrival of Toprak Razgatlioglu in MotoGP was supposed to be one of the biggest stories of the season. A three-time champion from the world of Superbike World Championship, a rider famous for his fearless braking and spectacular riding style, and a star backed by an army of loyal fans. Everything suggested that his step into the premier class could ignite the paddock. But just one race into his new adventure, reality has already delivered a harsh wake-up call. The opening weekend revealed something far more complicated than a simple transition between championships. Instead of fighting near the front, Razgatlioglu found himself struggling deep in the field, battling not only rivals but also the steep learning curve of MotoGP machinery. His debut result, far from the expectations surrounding him, immediately sparked discussions across the paddock about just how difficult this challenge will be. And the Turkish star himself is not hiding from the truth. After his first taste of MotoGP competition, Razgatlioglu openly admitted that the step-up is far tougher than anything he has experienced before. The paddock is already beginning to heat up with questions. Can the Superbike legend adapt quickly enough, or will this become one of the toughest chapters of his racing career? Razgatlioglu's first race weekend at the Thai round of the MotoGP season was expected to showcase his potential. Instead, it highlighted just how big the gap between championships can be. The Turkish rider finished only 17th, crossing the line 39 seconds behind the race winner. For a rider who dominated races in the Superbike paddock, the result was a clear sign that the challenge ahead will demand patience and major adaptation. For many observers, the situation came as a surprise. Razgatlioglu had built a reputation as one of the fastest riders to adapt when changing machinery. His previous switch from Yamaha Motor Company to BMW in the Superbike Championship proved exactly that. Back then, he quickly found his rhythm and managed to fight for victories almost immediately. That history is one of the main reasons fans believed he could also adapt rapidly to MotoGP. But according to Razgatlioglu himself, the reality this time is completely different. Speaking about his experience, Razgatlioglu admitted that the move into MotoGP has been far more demanding than his previous switch in Superbike. When I moved to BMW in World Superbike, it didn't feel like this, he explained. Everything is different when you move to MotoGP. The Turkish rider highlighted that his previous transition between manufacturers in Superbike felt relatively smooth. There wasn't a huge difference, everything was quite similar. Yes, the brand was different and the bike was different, but the feeling was very close, he added. MotoGP, however, is another story entirely. From the electronics and aerodynamics to the braking behavior and tire management, every aspect of the bike requires a completely new riding approach, for a rider whose style relies heavily on aggressive braking. A trademark that made him famous in superbikes. The adjustment is proving particularly complex. Razgatlioglu's situation is made even more complicated by the fact that the bike he is riding is still evolving. He is currently racing the Yamaha YZRM1, which now uses a V4 engine configuration. A major shift in philosophy for Yamaha. The engineers are still working to unlock the full performance potential of the new package. In reality, the current season has become something of a development year for Yamaha. Each race weekend is effectively serving as a live test session as the team searches for the right balance between power, stability, and cornering performance. For a rookie trying to understand MotoGP machinery, that situation makes adaptation even harder. I feel like I'm riding a completely different bike, Razgatlioglu admitted. I still need time to adapt to all of this. Interestingly, Razgatlioglu compared the experience to one of the earliest transitions in his career. This feeling is similar to when I moved from the European Superstock Championship to World Superbike, he said. Back then, the jump in performance and technology was enormous, forcing him to relearn many aspects of riding at the highest level. The current MotoGP challenge appears to be triggering the same process once again. There are several key reasons why Razgatlioglu's MotoGP debut has been so challenging. Riding style differences. Razgatlioglu is famous for extreme braking techniques, often stopping the bike far later than his rivals, while this works brilliantly in Superbike's MotoGP bikes, with their advanced aerodynamics and carbon brakes, require a more precise and smoother approach. Aerodynamics and electronics. Modern MotoGP machines rely heavily on complex aerodynamics and electronic systems. Riders must constantly manage traction control, engine braking, ride height devices, and tyre wear. The developing Yamaha package. Because Yamaha is still refining its V4 project, Razgatlioglu is not riding a fully optimized machine yet. That means he must learn the category while the bike itself is also evolving. Despite the difficult start, many insiders still believe Razgatlioglu has the talent to eventually succeed in MotoGP. His natural aggression, incredible bike control, and fearless racecraft remain major assets. However, the early evidence suggests that patience will be essential. MotoGP has humbled many great riders before, and Razgatlioglu is now experiencing that brutal reality firsthand. The question now echoing around the paddock is simple. How long will it take for Toprak Razgatlioglu to unlock his true MotoGP potential? If history is any indication, writing him off too early could be a very big mistake. Inside the MotoGP paddock, many riders and engineers understand that a difficult debut is not unusual. The Premier class is widely regarded as the most technically demanding category in motorcycle racing, and even the most successful champions from other series often require time to adjust. For Toprak Razgatlioglu, the opening race may simply represent the beginning of a longer adaptation process rather than a sign of his true level. One of the biggest adjustments for Razgatlioglu is the braking behavior of MotoGP bikes. In the Superbike World Championship, riders rely heavily on steel brakes and bikes that are closer to production machines. MotoGP, however, uses advanced carbon braking systems that operate best at extremely high temperatures. This means braking later is possible, but it must be executed with far greater precision and control. Another factor is the aerodynamic complexity of modern MotoGP machines. Over the past few seasons, aerodynamic development has transformed how the bikes behave in corners and under acceleration. Winglets, ride height devices, and sophisticated electronics change the way riders manage braking zones and corner exits.